Now that we have set up the basics for using Vue's router, we are ready to register some routes and begin covering the features of the router. Just so that we have a meaningful example to work with in this section, I have adjusted the e-commerce example application to use components. It contains 3 components that we'll be working with: product list, view product, and cart. It currently doesn't provide a way to navigate between pages because that's something that we're going to implement in the upcoming lectures. Please note that without rewriting the application, there are a couple of things in the application that are not really best practice. Therefore, there's room for improvement, but it does provide us with a good starting point for learning how to use Vue's router. We'll be focusing on the routing part of things anyways. Alright, so with that, let's dive right into it. The first thing we need to do is to create a new instance of the router. I'll do this within the main.js file, and because I'm going to need a couple of components, the first thing I'll do is to import these components. And namely, I'll be needing the product list and cart components. So first, the product list from the product list.vue file, and then the cart from the cart.vue file. Then let's go down here right after we registered the router and initialize the router and save it in a variable. So new Vue router matching our import. And as the first argument, I'll pass in an object. This is an options object, and we have a routes property here where we can add an array of routes. So each route is going to be an object. So let's add a first one here. We can specify a path for the routes, and I'll add an empty path here being the home page. So when we don't specify anything after the domain name in the URL, this is the route that's going to be matched. I will set this to render the product list component. So we associate a route with a component by using the component property within the route object, or rather a route entry as it's called. Let's add another route entry with a path of /cart. So this is the part that's going to appear in the URL. And as for the component, I'll add the cart component. Note that you can leave out the leading slash if you prefer. I just like to keep it there because it makes the path easy to read. As I mentioned, each of the objects that are added within the routes array is referred to as a route record. And then we need to register the router with the root Vue instance. And we can do this by simply adding a router key or property to the options array and pass in our router. So with this, we have now registered 2 routes, so 2 pages that we can access with a given URL matching the path, and we have specified which components are going to be rendered when accessing these paths in the URL. Now we're almost ready to use our routes in the browser, but first we need to tell Vue where to render the matching routes component.